Hey, what's going on everybody? I'm Roller's Wallet, and the other day I had a comment if it would be smart for people to cash in their points right now since people aren't traveling and points devalue over time. And with so much uncertainty right now, you may be wondering if cashing in your points right now is a good move, or maybe even if you should change up your credit card strategy. So you know what? Let's discuss that. Now, if you're someone who likes credit card rewards and learning how to travel for less, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to turn that notification bell on as well so you don't miss out on future videos. Also, consider giving the video a thumbs up. It really does help the channel out. Now, I've actually seen this question about cashing in points or changing credit card strategy floating around different Facebook groups and forums and whatnot. So there are people wondering what they should do with their points right now. And the first thing I'm going to tell you is I don't think you need to make a knee-jerk decision here. So let's first talk about should you be cashing them in. Now, when it comes to points, yes, they do devalue at a much faster rate than the rate of inflation. So holding on to your points long term is not a great strategy because your points are not an investment tool. So for you hoarders out there, use your damn points when you get the opportunity to use them again. Now, that being said, points still have plenty of value, but until you redeem your points, it's only offering you potential value because the real value doesn't come until your points are used. Because while we can estimate what your point values are and how much they're worth, they're just estimates until you actually use them. But even with that being said, I think in most cases, cashing out your points is not a good idea, and here's why. Now, I do think there is one exception I'll touch on in a few minutes. So while people aren't traveling right now and the current situation looks pretty grim, I mean, the stock market isn't doing so hot, saving rates on these high interest savings account is pretty much zero now, and your points are just currently sitting there in your account because you're not traveling. But you know what? We're gonna get through this and life will get back to normal. So that means we'll be traveling the world once again. And at that time, you'll be able to use your points again for travel, and you'll be able to get good value from those points as well. But if you decide to cash them all in right now because you're unsure what to do or you're afraid of what will happen to your points, you could be selling yourself short and costing yourself quite a bit of value. Because I don't think we're going to see programs devalue their loyalty programs now or soon after this is all over. And that's because companies are going to need the business, and devaluing their loyalty programs immediately after this all over is only going to make people upset. Unless you're Marriott, because Marriott can't seem to read the room. But that doesn't mean that they won't in the future. I just don't think it'll happen right after all this is over. I mean, we even saw Hyatt delay their program changes until 2021. So if anything, we could maybe see programs make some positive changes to the program to help drive some business. Nobody wants bad publicity after all this. They want to get back to business and making money. But you know what? I could definitely be wrong here. And for most of us right now, our points are just hanging out in our accounts, not doing very much. And while this can be extremely frustrating, that alone is not a good enough reason to cash in your points. And the reason why you don't want to cash in your points or miles for non-travel related items is that their value is drastically reduced. I mean, American Express points, when you use them against charges, is only about 0.7 cents per point. And you can buy gift cards for up to 1 cent per point. Chase points are worth about 1 cent per point when you cash them out. It's not terrible, but you can definitely get more value from them whenever you travel. City points are worth about 1 cent per point for gift cards and less than 1 cent per point when you use them against charges. And then if you use points like Hilton through Amazon, it yields a terrible value of about 0.2 cents per point. So you would be really trading a lot of potential value here. And right now would actually be a great time to grab some coffee, your laptop, and some snacks. You definitely want some snacks, preferably some good sugary ones like Twizzlers, maybe some Sour Patch Kids. Gummy bears are legit. And what you want to do is you want to learn how to use your points more efficiently so when you're ready to book your travel, you can do that. Dig into those award charts and practice because that is only going to make you better at award travel, and that is very important because your flex value, it should come from redemptions, not if your cards are made from metal. Now, there is an exception here. There are people being put in tough situations by either being laid off from work, asked to take unpaid leave, or even the company they work for, it may not make it through this and they could be without a job. Now, depending on where you look for your information, the amount of people with less than $1,000 in an emergency savings account is pretty high. I've seen it fluctuate somewhere between 55 to up to 70% of people. And if you're someone who has $1,000 or less in that savings account, it's not going to last you very long if you're not working. And people being out of work for an extended period of time is not a good thing. And by looking at the numbers, there are people who could be put in a very tough spot. And this may not be a popular suggestion, and I'm totally fine with that. But if you find yourself in a tough financial situation where you need to figure out ways to get some extra cash in your hands, then yes, I would absolutely consider cashing in my points, even if it's not for the best possible value. Because remember, value is all relative, because your points are still a currency and they can provide some relief here. Because some of us are sitting on hundreds of thousands of points, which can be worth thousands of dollars in cash. And while you may not want to do that because you aren't getting top value, I live by this idea that I can always earn more points. So while you might cringe at redeeming your Chase points or American Express points at 1 cent per point, or even potentially less, you're doing what you need to do, and really no one should fault you here. Because travel isn't a necessity, it's something we don't need to survive. Sure, most of us enjoy it, but if you have to cut something out to pay the bills, travel is probably at the top of that list. Now with all this craziness going on, should you change your credit card strategy? And since you aren't currently traveling, you may be looking to change up your setup, maybe jump to a cash back rotation, or maybe even a completely different point system. You know what I'm going to say? You don't need to do that. I don't think you need to completely redo your setup because you aren't currently traveling. Now, I do think diversifying your points is important to being successful in this game, but a complete change-up isn't necessary because you can't redeem your points at this time. Because if you're someone who likes to earn points, then you should continue to earn points because you're going to be able to use those points for your upcoming travels once this is all over and behind us. And if you change now to something different in the short term, you may not like those results later on, especially when you go to redeem those rewards. For example, if you're a premium cabin flyer and you switch your rotation over to all cash back, you're going to quickly realize cashback is not going to help you when you're looking to fly in the premium cabins. Sure, it can help you pay some of the taxes and fees, but you're not going to get oversized value for those premium cabin fares like you can with points. And if you're someone who prefers to earn cashback, then continue to do so. Cashback offers great flexibility even though the potential value is less than that of points. Now, if you're someone who has cashback cards in your graveyard and you could use the extra cashback right now, since maybe you're in a tough financial situation, that might be the only time I would consider changing things up for the short term. That does not mean though you need to spend more to earn extra cash back. That would completely defeat the purpose. But even then, I would still run the numbers of your cashback cards to redeeming with your points against charges. For example, if you had the American Express Gold Card and earned 4x at grocery stores, even at 0.7 cents per point, you'd still be getting a 2.8% return when you redeem against charges. Not fantastic, but it's still better than using a 2% cashback card. So be sure to calculate your return on those given categories. And while I don't think you need to completely change your strategy, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be reevaluating cards with annual fees, especially those premium credit cards, because if you aren't traveling, it's a little bit harder to justify those fees, especially if you aren't traveling for an extended period of time after all this is over. Be sure to call for a retention offer to see if you get one because you couldn't use the benefits these cards were supposed to offer. So be sure to run those numbers because if you have annual fees coming up and you need to save money or can't take advantage of all those benefits, it could be a good idea to change them if you can. Now look, I get it. This is a stressful time for a lot of people. You may have just lost your job. You could be homeschooling your kids or even just disappointed that your trip was canceled. But if you're someone considering cashing in your points because things look bad now, if you're financially able to weather this, I would not touch those points at all. This will pass, and I think you'd regret doing that. And if you're someone who could cash in your points to help ease some of your burdens, then you know what? Do it, because you can always earn more points. And at the same time, I don't think you need to completely change your credit card strategy at this time. But remember, diversifying your points is a key point to being successful in this game. But I don't think this is the time to make a knee-jerk decision because this is all going to be over at some point. This is going to be a good time for people to earn points and learn how to use their points more efficiently. So tell me, are you planning on changing your credit card strategy? Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in this video. If you want to help support the channel, a simple way would be use links on the website or in the description below. And if you know somebody who could benefit from this video, feel free to share it with them. And until next time, safe travels and take care.